Kairi. Oh, Kairi. Hey guys, it's HMK and it's time to get my feelings out. Now, if you have been living under an absolute rock, there is a huge division going on into Kairi's role and fate in Kingdom Hearts 3 within the community. People were saying that she was underdeveloped, shafted, that she was useless and chicken. That she didn't contribute much to the Keyblade war or the overall fight, and that she was taken out of the fray too easily. Well, if you clicked the video and made it this far, you can expect, yep, endgame spoilers ahead. So a lot of you guys wanted to hear my take on this whole situation. What do I have to say? Guys, what did you expect? I'm gonna break it down for you guys, for this video is mostly gonna target her role and what she accomplished in Kingdom Hearts 3 in relation to past games, not particularly how she was written as a character. That's a whole other can of worms. I'm gonna go point by point on why Kairi doesn't deserve all the hate in regards to her use, and don't get it twisted. I like Kairi, but she's nowhere near one of my favorite characters. But this kind of treatment kind of had my head scratching, and I feel it was a little blown out of proportion. Okay, here we go. Kairi, at best, was still a fledgling Keyblade wielder, not a master, nor was she a seasoned fighter. Kairi has extremely little combat experience in tow. The most she ever got was whacking a few Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 2 before Kingdom Hearts 3, before she was enlisted by Yen Sid to go train with Lee under Merlin, which when you think about it makes extremely little sense as Merlin is a magic user and not a Keyblade wielder. So I really don't get how he's supposed to help train prospective Keyblade wielders. It would make way more sense to have Yen Sid do it, as he is a former Keyblade master. The only inclination that we ever got that Merlin can assist Keyblade wielders was in Kingdom Hearts 1, when he can assist Sora in practicing combat against furniture. So what that tells me is that Lee and Kairi, all the time in the world in the Secret Forest, mostly only had practice than actual training. They didn't get any true instruction on how to use the Keyblade, they just had to practice against each other, and if you were to argue that point, potential fake enemies as targets. That's why I believed earlier that Kairi's fighting style was derived from what she saw and knew from Riku's and Sora's fighting style. Although Lee has loads of combat experience, he was a Keyblade wielder until very recently, so what he can show her is very little. So with that being said, you're gonna throw someone with this kind of experience into the most dangerous and defining war of the worlds? That's a yikes from me, dog, if you didn't see that coming. Next point. Kairi was more of a liability than an asset. She was a need and not a want for the Guardians of Light. Kairi in no way, shape, or form was an optimal pick for the Guardians of Light. The only reason why they chose her of all people to be part of the group was because she could use a Keyblade, and they didn't have time to be picky. Beggars literally cannot be choosers, and as a Princess of Heart, not only was it going to be extremely risky to deliberately make her fight, but the Seekers of Darkness were going to target her anyways. And once again, with her little combat knowledge and experience, her role as a Guardian of Light was leaning way more towards a liability than she ever was as an asset. She literally was the weakest link, and we will get to more of that in a second, but now let's get to the next point. She actually did fight. I don't know if you had your eyes closed for those portions, but Kairi did in fact fight in the Keyblade War. She dispatched a bunch of Heartless when they were getting flooded in the Keyblade graveyard, and she did indeed clash with Xion and Saix during the battle between the Guardians and the Seekers. She didn't stay on the sidelines or anything like that. I've been seeing a lot of people say she didn't fight or she didn't do anything. Yeah, she did fight. Did she fight good? But she did fight. Next point, she is the one that kept Sora together after everybody got bodied. And that's another point for Kairi's use. During the climax of Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Keyblade War, when everyone got trashed when the Demon Tide turned into Demon Category 5 Hurricane, it became apparent in context and in a missable cutscene with Naminé, I'm still not over that by the way, that she is the one that held Sora together in the final world, and she is the one that truly acted as the beacon that allowed Sora to come back and use the power of waking to restore everyone else. Without Kairi, Sora, and in extension, the others would have been gone and on and on and on and on. But how would Xehanort make the Keyblade then? He would just use their hearts, like Terra Xehanort said. So she did do something incredibly important, and she kept her promise. She kept Sora safe. Okay, on to the next point. There are some people that try to tell me they're confused or mad as to why Xemnas, This man that is able to manipulate buildings with the power of nothingness, one of the most powerful nobodies in existence, and honestly could be argued to be the most powerful nobody in existence, who other members of the organization in the previous state feared, was able to subdue Kairi? Like, really? Why would he have any problem doing so? And this just by strength alone against who is by far the weakest link in the Guardians of Light. Like, you can see the pain and desperation on Kairi's face. He had her in that grip and he tightened it multiple times. And he was smart about it as to where he had her Keyblade wielding arm by the grip. So of course there was little room for her to fight back. And remember, this is the same girl that had trouble fighting back when she was captured by AXEL. And if you want to go even deeper than that, young Xehanort used the same strat when he subdued SORA in the toy box. He grabbed him by his Keyblade wielding arm in order to severely lessen his chances of fighting back before getting blasted. Let's call that the Xehanort clutch from now on. So with that being said, I find it with little surprise that Xemnas was able to subdue her. Next point. Honestly, I'm more mad at AXEL. Spinning that previous segment and this discussion as a whole, I was actually a lot more mad at Lee, AXEL, whatever. This man actually had combat experience and fought plenty of times with finesse and ability, and he was getting knocked around left and right during the Keyblade War and absolutely got trashed by Xemnas to the point his Keyblade got busted and then came back. Okay. The only inch I'll give him is that he wasn't too familiar with the Keyblade, but even then, come on. AXEL really got dumpstered as a Keyblade wielder and constantly makes the claims that he's gonna be a master. Okay. Next point. A war. This is a war, and casualties happen in a war. And sorry to say, you guys, Kairi was indeed the most likely. Seriously though, I cannot stress that enough, that one huge glaring thing about this whole discussion is that Kairi was indeed, in fact, the weakest link out of all the Guardians of Light. And it's not because how she was written in this particular game, but her history throughout the Kingdom Hearts games and her lack of experience in outright combat prowess. Looking at everything we've seen about Kairi, you're gonna tell me you're surprised that she got bodied the way she did? Nah man, this is the Keyblade War, and in a war casualties happen. And when you dial the numbers in and look at all the variables, it's very understandable that out of all the Guardians of Light, Kairi was the most likely, and by a long shot. But let's get into the next point that complements the understanding on why she got bodied. Kairi's death, in massive hindsight, was necessary in order to force SORA to fight, and it also added to the shock value. Xehanort needed one more key in order to forge the Keyblade at the climax of the Keyblade War, and SORA, Mickey, and Donald have already stated their reluctance in helping Xehanort complete it before facing Ansem, Xemnas, and Benjamin Diskin. So like the old man said, he planned for every eventuality, and that SORA may not want to fight him, and thus not producing the final key. So Kairi was instrumental in riling up SORA in order to fight him. And holding her hostage wasn't enough, because it could be argued that SORA could simply rescue her and dash away. Nah man, Xehanort had to kill Kairi in order to piss off SORA enough in order to clash with him in a rage. This was hella important because how much Kairi meant to SORA, and indeed added shock value to the players due to how beloved this character is, hence the reason for this video. Next up, lastly, Kairi's death also acted as the catalyst for SORA to act on a dangerous task that could unfold and bridge to a new saga. Kairi's death, when you think about it, is actually just one of many godly setups to the next saga or game of Kingdom Hearts, due to the price that SORA has to pay in saving her using the power of waking. It presents not only a massive problem for the heroes in terms of what SORA means to the group, especially to Kairi. Can you imagine the guilt that could be used for character development on both sides? But it also gives the worlds a massive problem in losing their best defender in light of the foretellers returning and Luxu surviving. When problems get presented to the narrative, it creates grander storytelling and implications that the heroes must topple in order to move forward. So I'm not particularly saying Kairi dying is a good thing, but good things can come out of it. In closing, I don't think Kairi deserves all the flack she's getting for being useless, or that she didn't do anything for the story or for the Keyblade War. While I do understand those excited for Kairi getting hyped up or whatnot, her contributions to the Keyblade War are indisputable. Now, the extent of those contributions and what they could have seems to be interpreted differently by many fans. Now, on the basis of how players feel as she was written, that's a different story, and Nomura does know how to write female characters in Kingdom Hearts. Ahem. Kairi wasn't useless, and she did contribute, and she got bodied, and when you put everything together, it was indeed the most likely outcome in hindsight. and of course the one that made the most sense in relation to her relationship with SORA. Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this piece. Let me know what you think about Kairi's contributions to the game and the Keyblade War and Kingdom Hearts in general in the comment section below. I hope to see a grand discussion happening there. And while you're at it, please like, share, favorite, and most importantly subscribe to HMK. And if you haven't hit that bell, yeah, go ahead and smack that bell. Body it like Xehanort bodied Kairi. A little too soon, yeah. So until the next video, I've been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.
So you haven't subscribed to HMK yet? Don't piss Xemnas off.